Two Alabama brothers reflecting on their journey to freedom after serving 20 years in prison for a crime they didn't commit. In 1993, a woman accused Frank Meadows Jr. and his brother Quinton Cook of raping her in Leeds. The brothers say they were told it happened along this stretch of US 78, not far from Interstate 20. They believe race played a role in their arrest and their conviction.
The major part was once they accused us of this crime, and then they saw that we didn't have the financial background to try to fight this, to try to combat it. And they knew, just trying to get a conviction. Sitting back and just playing back over the trial in my head, it became a win and lose versus a right from wrong. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking and I'm listening to my attorney, and I'm listening at the DA, and I'm listening at the judge, and I'm saying to myself, like, hey, this is our life y'all playing with, but y'all playing to win or to lose.
It has to do with skin color, but it also has to do when you live in that type of life, Like before we went to prison, we dropped out of school pretty much. We wanted to run with the in crowd. So it's easy to put something on you when you're running with that crowd.
Frank and Quinton served 2 decades in various Alabama prisons, facing harsh conditions, all while wondering why them.
There was many nights in prison that I actually used to just pray and ask God, if I'm dreaming, wake me up.
And once you get convicted, and it seems like all the doors closed. Nobody hear you no more.
Quinton served his time and was released in 2014. Frank went home in 2015. And although they got out of prison, they weren't necessarily free. They were labeled as sex offenders and say they endured more years living in horror.
I'll be honest, I'm a little angry. I'm a little angry that it happened to them. I'm angry that they've been judged this way.
Leroy Maxwell Jr. is an attorney with the Maxwell and Tillman law firm. The brothers came to this firm in desperate need of help clearing their names.
When they brought the evidence that they found that they didn't know about, that was withheld from them, my jaw hit the ground. I couldn't believe it.
Maxwell says the brothers had incredible evidence that proved their innocence.
She clearly, in her initial report, made it clear who the person was who raped her. She names the individual 3 separate times. There's DNA on the scene as well that's there to be collected that's involved with the crime scene. So it's sort of a perfect situation. You have, as far as solving crimes, the victim who survived, you have her naming who the person is that assaulted her. None of the person she named was not either one of these brothers. And then fast forward a few weeks later, we have a brand new report from Jefferson County Sheriff's Department that doesn't mention the first individual, doesn't mention the DNA that was on the scene. All it mentions is that she pulls up a lineup and says, these 2 brothers are the ones that assaulted me. And then the story unfolds from there.
And ever since the Maxwell and Tillman law firm got involved in the brothers' case, they learned new chilling details.
If you look at their case, there was DNA, other things that were withheld from them that they weren't allowed to test. So what was tested, rape kits were tested compared to their DNA, their saliva, and nothing matched. There was no physical evidence actually to tie them to the scene.
In October 2022, Jefferson County Judge Shantae Owens dismissed the rape charges against the brothers. They were no longer considered sex offenders. A sigh of relief for Frank and Quinton. The dark clouds that were hanging over their lives, now gone.
I feel grateful, I feel blessed, especially coming off the sex offender registry list.
With me, I'm still kind of taking it all in. I got 2 kids, and just having to try to navigate, with the sex offender laws and all the things that we were governed up under after being released from prison. So it's I'm still kind of getting used to it. I'm grateful, and I'm thankful.
The brothers can now celebrate holidays and special occasions with their entire families without restrictions or being monitored.
I want to say this, a special thanks on the behalf of both of us, because you asked the question about our attorney. And God led us to somebody that actually believed, right, because it took faith. And when Mr. Maxwell began to believe, and because hearing it the first time, it sort of sounded like a story. But then when you begin to look at the evidence, it starts to put merit to the story. And I just want to say a special thanks to Sheriff Petway and also to Wendell Major. He's the chief of police of Tarrant City, because they actually, it wasn't so much as believing our story, but they wanted to do their job and go on with evidence.
The brothers plan to make appearances and speak about their false convictions. They also want to help others who've been wrongfully convicted. Their attorney is considering filing a civil rights lawsuit. I'm Fred Davenport.